2-part series, Wisdom for Wellness Lunch and Learn, hosted and presented by Christina Coleman. And I know personally that I have benefited so much from her guidance and her consulting services, so I definitely recommend each of you to hire her as a consultant to help you grow your business, the green part of your business, and also to make your home as safe as it can be. For the sake of our children and future generations, Christina is committed to doing all that she can to preserve the tranquility of nature and the sustainability of our natural resources. Chemicals that contribute to illnesses and contamination of the air, the land, and water can be reduced through the education that promotes conscious decisions and spending. Christina believes that through these conscious decisions, we will help our planet to be a cleaner and a safer place for future generations. Christina Coleman.
So thank you, each of you, for coming and joining us today. We're going to learn, and again, we're going to be able to make those baby steps that's going to make a dramatic difference in our lives. So first thing, I like to start out with each of us taking a deep breath in. So take a deep breath in. So we do this to realize our connection to the trees and to nature. So that breath that you took, what is given to us because of the trees, and the rivers are our circulation, the air is our breath, and the earth is our body. So what we want to do is realize that we are connected to nature, and the more that we realize that, the more that we might take a second thought when we use our daily products and realize that not only are we harming ourselves, but also our planet, which we are borrowing from our children. So here's the reason why I'm so passionate. This is our daughter, Catherine, and we call her our miracle baby. So a little bit about myself and as it relates to my pregnancy with Catherine. We had an absolutely perfect pregnancy. Everything was absolutely normal with her, all the way through delivery. And I had a very healthy delivery with her also. At her first year checkup, again, everything was perfect with her, and the doctor says very healthy. Forward into her second year checkup, again, healthy, everything was just fine. It wasn't until she was about 2.5 years old that we started to notice that something was a little off. She was our 4th child, and so we could see that she wasn't quite developing the same way as our other children. So as she approached her 3rd birthday, we have a dear family friend that works with autistic children. And she called me out to lunch, and she said to me, "Christina, I think that your daughter may have autism." And I was devastated. I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to be in denial. I wanted to run away. But I had to come to terms with that, and because we did notice some things with Catherine were not quite right. So what we did do is we decided to take her to the doctors, and the first thing that they wanted to do was put her on medication. And I've always been very, tried to go on a natural route, and so we didn't want to do that. And so I became very passionate as to figure out why this could have happened to Catherine. So in my studies, and my passion, my unrelenting passion, I discovered that all of us are exposed to daily chemical exposure. And we are exposed, and it comes in several different ways. And so here's Catherine again. This is more of an recent picture of her. But as you can see, she's right back on track. But it has been quite a journey, and I'm going to get into a little bit more about that journey here in just a minute. So one of the first things that I discovered is that there's critical times of exposure where there is rapid growth, and during that time, chemicals that have been stored in our body and also chemicals that we come in contact with on a daily basis accumulate and have a significant impact on later risk of disease. So the first time of exposure is during pregnancy. Again, that's rapid growth. So anything that the mother is exposed to is getting into the baby and will affect the child later in life. The next time is childhood adolescence. Again, you have that rapid growth, and so the child, chemicals that they're exposed to on a daily basis can accumulate in their body and affect them later in life. Now, something that we probably, all of us are aware of is that children are experiencing puberty earlier. And that is, in many cases, you may have heard people say, oh, it's in the meat or in that regard. And yes, there are chemical exposures in meat. But as you're going to learn, many of the chemicals that we are exposed to on a daily basis are endocrine disruptors, and they affect our endocrine system and mimic hormones. So again, we have during pregnancy and lactation, you've got that rapid growth, but now don't get me wrong, breastfeeding is the best form of nutrition for a baby, but what we have to keep in mind is up until that time of breastfeeding, the chemicals have been storing in our bodies. Now what you're going to learn today is that many of these chemicals like to attach to fat. And so where do we store most of our fat? In our breasts. So, all right. So during this presentation, I'm going to share with you several nonprofits that are going to give you free information that are going to help you to make these daily conscious decisions to reduce your exposure to toxic chemicals. So here is PSR, Physicians for Social Responsibility. And this lovely lady here is Ann Steinman. And she has been, she's written grants, and she has also been given funds to do market research. And what she has done for us is she has researched over 1,000 individuals for toxic exposure and also the effects of fragrance. Now, how many of you have been around somebody who's got a strong fragrance, and as a result, you have gotten a headache, maybe felt nauseous? What she has discovered is some people have actually fainted because of it. So that is, that shows you the toxicity of these fragrances that we are being exposed to. So here you have it. All of these items look very familiar to us. Our laundry detergents, our shampoos, our fragrances, deodorants, perfumes, soaps. Now, a common denominator in all of these products is fragrance. And in the industry, fragrance is considered a trademark. So it is not required for these companies to put labeling as to what chemicals go into their trademarks. So a fragrance could have hundreds of chemicals in it. Okay? So when we use our laundry detergent, when we use our shampoo, when we spray our homes with the fragrance, again, we are unknowingly poisoning ourselves slowly on a daily basis. And I like to, for a visual, let's think of a bowl of sugar. Now, each grain of sugar is very small, but over time it adds up, and it can overflow the bowl, And so there you have it, disease. Okay, so here's one of my favorite nonprofits. This is the Environmental Working Group, and they've put together this guide to healthy cleaning. And what this does for us is we are able to search over 2,000 products, cleaning products for their toxicity level. Okay, so the way that they categorize it is between an A and an F score. So of course your A would be low concern, all the way to your F, which is high concern. So the way that it works is you easily go to the website, you type in the products that you're using, and it tells you between A and F where it lies. So here you have Tide. Now, many of us use Tide, and I particularly used Tide when I learned about Catherine's complications. Now, as you can see, we see Tide free for cold water. Now it looks like it's healthy, it's safe, but we see that it has an F score. So you can go down the line, and again, there's over 2,000 products. So I encourage you when you get home to open up your cabinets, whatever you're using, fabric softeners, your fragrances, and go in and check the toxicity level. Okay, here we have here, this is just a small portion of the explanation as to why they received an F for this particular product. This is Tide Free and cold water. So as you can see, asthma, respiratory, skin allergens. Now, many of my clients say, Christina, I think I have eczema. And so the first thing that I want to know is, what laundry detergent are you using? What fabric softener are you using? Maybe that's just your body telling you that there's toxic chemicals being introduced. Okay, so then we have developmental and reproductive toxicity. So what this means is that these chemicals are getting into male reproductive organs and also female reproductive organs. So you may have heard in the media about the fish in the rivers, or the males are becoming females and the females are becoming males. So again, these are signs in our environment that are giving us warnings. And so I'm not giving you this information to scare you. This is just to make you more aware so that we can make wiser decisions. Okay, so then we have cancer, some concerns, and then environment, some concerns. Here's the next product that I use for every one of our children. It's called Dreft. And the doctor recommended it, and so I went ahead and spent the extra money to make sure that I had it, because I really wanted the best for my children. And I think that I'm pretty much like most parents. We want the best for our children. So as you can imagine, when I saw this, I was quite shocked. So again, you've got your concerns here, and when you go home and you look this up, you're going to see there's a long list. They don't leave any stone unturned. You're going to be very informed about the products that you're using, and so that you can make educated decisions. Okay, so here is some of the ingredients that are in Dreft, which again I purchased because I wanted the best for my children. So you see here sodium borate, high concern, developmental, endocrine, reproductive effects, skin irritations, allergens, and respiratory effects. And the list goes on. And particularly for Dreft, it's quite a long, lengthy list. So now, here's the good news. There are plenty of manufacturers that are just as concerned as we are, and they are creating products that are safe and have the A score. So again, go to the environmental working group and you're going to be able to locate these safe brands. Okay. All right, so I'm going to cover just a couple toxic chemicals for time's sake, and I encourage you to go through your pamphlets and go on to the websites that I'm referring you to so that you can get a good understanding. Okay, so PVC. Now, one way for me to for you to get an idea of PVC is shower curtains. How many of you have taken out the shower curtain and gotten that smell? That vinyl smell. Well, that smell is extremely toxic, okay? And even after it dissipates, it still is in the air for quite some time. So PVC is a harmful plastic that emits toxic chemicals from manufacturing to disposal. Now, as a matter of fact, PVC is not recyclable because, again, it's very toxic. It's used to make construction materials such as pipes, floorings, again, shower curtains, wiring, and a range of consumer products. It's in plastic bottles. You may see when you're out and looking for a water bottle, it will say PBA free, and you may even see at the bottom, you'll be able to check what the number is. But a good way to identify a PVC plastic is that it's malleable. You can squeeze it. Now, think about the many children's toys that are squeezable. So that's a clear indication that toy is toxic, and we know what babies do with toys. They stick them in their mouths. So again, please do some more research on phthalates. That is in PVC, and it's added, again, to make it softer. Now, phthalates are also in foods. They're also in healthcare products. So, okay, here we go. Phthalates. Phthalates are a group of man-made chemicals that are widely used as plastic additives. These chemicals are also used in synthetic fragrances to extend the scent's staying power. Phthalates are relatively persistent in the environment. So in a large amount of breast cancer, they have found phthalates in the breast tissue. All right, so here we have toxic Toys R Us. There are organizations that have come together to help to make us aware of the phthalates that are in many of the toys that are sold in Toys R Us. So the best way for us to make a difference is to take action. Now, when we discovered that cigarettes were dangerous, we came together as a people and we said, we don't want to be exposed to this. It's dangerous and it's causing us to get cancer. So we need to come together and do the same thing with these toxic chemicals and make sure that these laws get passed. And you're going to learn a little bit more about that in just a moment. Okay, so again, the PVCs are in the toys, and we want to make sure that safer products are made available for our children. All right, now here's another wonderful nonprofit. This is called the Center for Health, Environment, and Justice. They have put out a wonderful document on PVC-free school supplies. Many of the school supplies that we are buying for our children have these toxic chemicals in them, and our children are being exposed to it all day, every day. So I encourage you to look up this particular document. It's from the Center for Health, Environment, and Justice. It's www.chej.org. Okay, so here is another nonprofit. It's called notaguineapig.org, what you can do. Now, when you go to this particular website, you are going to get ways that you can share this information through Twitter, through Facebook, and it makes it very easy for you to share with your friends, your family, and your social media. So you can take those baby steps to make those small changes on a daily basis. So now the goal of this presentation today is to really bring awareness to the Safe Chemicals Act of 2011. Now this is the law that we need to get passed. It has in it what is necessary to make it mandatory for these companies not to put these toxic chemicals into the products that we're using. So there you have it. My company is Regal Organic Synergy, and we are here today because of Eco Trade Global and H3O Eco Magazine. And I would really love the opportunity to share more information with you. And my website is aboutme.com, Coleman Christina. So does anyone have any questions?
We want to hear more of your daughter.
Oh, about Catherine? Okay. Catherine, it took about a year, but what we did is I systematically removed the chemicals from our lives in every area. I went underneath every single cupboard in my home, and I really did an audit of everything. Yeah. And so she did begin to come back. Catherine, for a while, she would not make eye contact. She became very unresponsive. She became very very upset child because she wasn't able to communicate like she was. It was like her light had just shut off. So after about a year of just really persistently, being conscious as to her foods, her shampoos, her lotions, everything that Catherine was exposed to, she did begin to come back. Now, she does still have a little bit of, some socialization quirks that we work with, but she definitely has personality, and she can communicate with the best of them. And she's at the top of her class in special, not in special ed, in regular ed. So she's doing quite well.
Now, I know last time you talked about, we talked about cosmetics and
Yes.
such, and those are not regulated at all by the government.
Yes.
So there's absolutely no regulation for all these chemicals that are going into these.
No,
everyday
there's not.
products?
Really, there are laws. There was a law that was put in place in 1976, and the reason why it does not protect us is that it's kind of like a wait and see. Like if enough people come together and they complain about it and they report it to the EPA, and then maybe something could be done about it. And then there's fees that they put in place, and they do crack down on it, but it takes a lot of action on our part. And so it's very difficult for us to be able to identify why we've become sick. Because how do we know where it came from, and how do you prove where it came from when you're exposed to a wide variety of chemicals on a daily basis? So our best bet is to get the Safe Chemical Act of 2011 passed. And so each of us, if we take the time to just do a little bit of research, and on the last screen we have the link so that you can actually go in and view the Safe Chemicals Act of 2011. And that's govtracks.us/Congress, Bills 112. Let me see it. There you go. Yes.
That is very true with reference to toxics, because my daughter, I had an amazing pregnancy. I did everything right. I ate right, I exercised. And at the age of 4, one day I just looked at her, and she was just blowing up, just like within a weekend, 10 pounds she gained. And I couldn't understand what was the story, what was happening with her. I took her to the hospital, and they diagnosed her with something called nephrotic syndrome. It's a big word. I had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. It turned out to be that her body was spilling proteins, and the doctors could not even say why this has happened. They said to me, her problem is idiopathic. And I was like, idiopathic, what does that mean? They're like, well, that's what it means, idiopathic, of no known cause. How is that possible? A normal baby, a normal child, and at the age of 4, this happens. So for years, she had to be on steroids, and steroids is a very damaging agent. It's a medicine that helps, but it's damaging because it weakens your bones. It also causes kids to go into obesity. And I was seeing this happening to my daughter, and I was like, this has to change. And like Christina, I decided every single thing that was toxic in my home, I threw out. I totally eradicated my home. I changed my daughter's diet totally to all organic, and every single thing that she would put in her mouth had to be signed by me before it could be done. And now I can say she's 12 years old. She's been off steroids for 5 years.
Yes.
She's a healthy, intelligent child. No one will ever believe it.
Yes.
Toxics in our environment is a
Yes.
killer, and our
Yes.
homes are one of the biggest environment holder of toxins.
Yes.
We breathe it, we sleep it, we
Yeah.
breathe while we're sleeping it, we're in it most of our lives. That is where you have to start getting rid of it.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
It's even worse than being outside. Really and truly, it is.
Tell her this is my dear friend.
It's worse than being outside.
Yes, it's been absolutely amazing watching the difference with her daughter, and watching the, just viewing her go through that whole process, and then to see her today off of the medication,
Totally.
and just resilient and doing so very well in her life. That's a beautiful thing. Yes. Yes. Diva, hi.
How are you?
Very well. Hey.
How are you? I have a multi question. One is, I noticed there's some now in some of the apartment homes and what have you, they are starting to use this type of it's sort of like PVC for the tub enclosures.
Oh wow.
And I'm wondering, how do you find out what that is made of? Because I mean, you can do all of these things in your house, but every evening, you put your babies in these tubs.
Right.
And even the little bathtubs that come.
Yes.
I'm more focused on that now
Yes.
because my daughter is going to be delivering a little girl
Right.
before the end of this month.
Oh.
And all the things that I had learned, I tried to convey to her with my my grandson. And you know, some of it she listened to and so on. But she's getting to be more and more aware because I've been talking and been
Yes,
talking.
wonderful.
And I've heard something about when babies are born now that they issue some type of shot to them that's
Yes.
supposed to be for their well-being.
Yes.
But I'm told on one other end that it has a lot to do with these kids developing ADHD.
Right.
And I want to be, you know, I
Right.
want to find out how can I learn more about that.
Right.
How can I learn more about the tubby thing?
Uh-huh.
And plus, I heard something about McDonald's and these McRib things that they're
Oh,
starting
the
to use
phthalates?
this thing that they make the same thing out of yoga mats.
Oh.
It's
Plastic?
the same material that they use to make yoga mats. It's the same.
Oh, yeah, it's a plastic. It's a phthalate.
That's what the
Uh-huh,
phthalate
uh-huh.
is. I wondered about that.
Can you believe that? They
No,
put
I
phthalates
can't.
in
You might as well eat your yoga mat then.
Oh, yes.
So
well,
busy, they don't stop
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah. So they put the phthalates in the food to try to make it, to preserve it. So,
Fresh, look
you know,
pretty.
a good idea if it doesn't spoil, it's not a good idea for you to eat it. But yes, I am so looking forward to really guiding you on all those steps. But in terms of, I walk a fine line with the vaccines. Catherine had her episodes. We homeschooled, and so she had not received any vaccines at all at that time. And so at least that gave me an opportunity to cancel that out. That you know that there was something else. Now I have heard that there are several chemicals that they put into the vaccines, and that is again something that we as a people need to do our research and come together to make a difference. Because our children have to go to school, and the first thing that they say before your child can enter into the door is that they have to be up to date on their vaccines.
Formaldehyde in some of them.
Just to piggyback off of what you were
And I
just
think that
saying,
was
Yes.
one of the problems with my
I
child.
went to school for chemistry.
Yes.
So then I came here for biochem.
I
And
saw
one
you
of my
right there.
yeah, one of my internships was with what was then called the Upjohn Company, which was Pfizer. And I ended up being the chemical analyst intern on Dapper-Purveyor. And so when you're working with these things are chemicals. These are not natural. They're not healthy for you. We do all of these tests on a group of people to see how they react to it, assuming that you won't react the same way,
Wow.
or since there's such a small number, only a small number is going to complain.
Of course.
Like we were saying earlier, you have, even with the medicine that they say is okay, it's not okay.
So it's synthetic.
I have been in the laboratory,
Right.
and I've worked in the lab where it's stability, and you're checking because the expiration date, I'm testing to make sure it's going to last until that expiration date.
Right,
And
right.
so you have to realize that just because they say it's okay,
Yes.
it's not okay.
Yes, yes. Again, you know, for us to be able to deal with this, this is a serious issue, and for us to be able to deal with it, we have to come together. We can't keep it to ourselves. Please take this information, read it, and share it, and spread it. And we will create a butterfly effect. It will spread locally, and then nationally, and globally. And so each person does have that ability to tap into that butterfly effect. So please share.
One quick question. I have a background in nursing as well, and for years I worked OBGYN.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talked about the Deft laundry detergent,
Yes.
you know, when you send parents home with new babies. and
Yes,
give them
with
raw
it,
baby
right? It comes in the
package.
package. Yes, I remember.
And when
Uh-huh.
you said that, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, you know,
They're poisoning them
you're
straight out of the box.
poisoning
Yes.
So I'm sitting here wondering, is there some kind of a law or a bill that is in the process of going into effect that will stop
Well, that's
physicians
the
from giving out this, or is this part of this one?
Safe Chemical Act. Again, these companies will not be able to manufacture with the chemicals in it. It's very strict to the point. But again, there are a lot of companies out there that have a lot of money, and they don't want this passed.
Right.
And so, for that's again, we are very powerful as a people. We decide where our money goes, and I know that if a mother is told this information, she's not going to buy the drug. But if she's given it from her doctor when she goes home with her
You tend
baby,
to trust
she
the doctor.
thinks it's what's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, just please share this information.
One other thing, of course,
Yes.
you always have something. This, do you address this Codex Alimentaris, whereas this, I think it's the legislature, they're trying to pass against herbal supplements and things that are healthy for you, and sort of leave you with only one choice, and that's to deal with pharmaceutical type
Oh,
medicine?
right. Well, again, they have the money, and so they're trying to get this passed. So, but I want to reiterate that we are very powerful as a people, and so we can decide where we spend our money, and that's where we have our power.
But what is interesting is that America will export these products to other countries,
Yes.
but they cannot export it with the toxins that they have.
That's
So
right.
they'll send it to other
It
countries.
can
Yes.
be sold here, but in other countries
Yes,
it's clean.
Yes, their governments.
Their governments are not going to accept it. So why are we as a people accepting it?
That's right. That's right. Oh, well, many people don't know. So if you don't know, you can't really do anything. But in this case, ignorance doesn't protect us, right?
So if you create a walk, Wisdom for Wellness,
Oh yes,
I will be
let's
the
do
first
it.
one to come out and
Oh,
walk with
if
you.
you were closer, I'd give you a hug. I'll
We
do
should
that in
do
just
that.
a minute. I would
Create
love
an
that. Let's do a
uprising.
wisdom wellness walk. That's wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us. Each of you are very special and dear, and this is a very important day in history. And we can all, move forward as we walk out those doors and continue on this butterfly effect. We have brought this gorgeous arrangement of roses, and we've asked each of our guests to take one with them so that they remember to share the information that they've learned today and to continue that butterfly effect, not only locally, but nationally, and then globally.